Good afternoon. This is the regular Joint Planning and Zoning Committee and Special Call Committee of the Whole meeting. Today is Wednesday, September 25th, and it is 3:43. I hereby call the meeting to order. Approval of the minutes. Did everyone have a chance to read the meeting minutes that were? Okay, they were emailed. But we can defer them till next time because
That's fine.
Daryl, Lee. So we'll just defer approval of our minutes. That's not a,
You want to just say blank? Okay, that's fine.
okay, so zoning cases, item 3, we're going to take the ZAC 2024-00008 in the South Pratt neighborhood first, so that y'all can move on with your day. So, Kim, do you want to read our case?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. My name is Kim Spurl. I serve as the city's natural hazards administrator in the Department of Planning, Engineering, and Permits. The case before you today is ZAC 2024-8. The subject property is located at 1000 Avenue W. The applicant is requesting to change the zone district boundaries from R3, which is a single-family district, to D4, which is medium density, in order to allow for a communal living facility. And that is because R3, single-family, does not permit a communal living facility. The applicant is requesting to rezone the parcels to allow for a communal living facility that will offer independent living and limited daily support for those who need additional help. The facility will provide housing, meals, activities, and minimal supervision for veterans who have served our country. The property will have 4 shared rooms with a total of 8 beds, and the hours of operation will be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They plan to have a maximum of 4 employees and 1 administrator. The city's adopted long-range land use plan identifies this property as residential low. As I mentioned, they are requesting D4 because that is the first district that allows a communal living facility. I would note that if the rezoning is approved, the communal living facility will have to go before the Zoning Board of Adjustment for a special exception. The staff comments include some suggested queue conditions, and those queue conditions were also adopted by the Zoning Advisory Committee. I'll read through those real quick for the record. Number 1, if approved, the applicant must resurvey the property through the city subdivision committee to combine both lots into one. Number 2, if approved, the applicant may require approval through the Zoning Board of Adjustment for parking in a front yard and will require approval for the special exception for the communal living facility. And the conditions that are already in the zoning ordinance are included for that special exception. The third condition, if approved, the following uses shall be allowed: a single-family detached residential, conservation subdivision, accessory structure, a park or greenway, public building, country club, golf or swim, and communal living facility. Number 4, due to the excess number of parking spaces, the applicant must incorporate low-impact development techniques in order to offset the parking. And number 5, the applicant must provide 2 bicycle parking spaces on site. So the landscaping division of our department did not have any comments. The property meets the landscaping requirements. The stormwater division noted that this property is not located in a special flood hazard area. There were no comments from the Department of Transportation. This property is located in the Pratt Inslee Framework Plan area. Their plan was recently adopted, and they do have an active implementation committee that has started meeting recently. The South Pratt Neighborhood Association met at its regularly scheduled meeting on July 16th, and they voted to support the rezoning request. The vote was 9-0. And at its regularly scheduled meeting on September 3rd, the Zoning Advisory Committee voted 4-0 to recommend the rezoning request with the Q conditions that I mentioned. And that concludes our staff report, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Mrs. Sporl. If the applicant would please come forward and elaborate on what Ms. Sporl has told us.
Yes, hi, how are you? Thank you for having me. My name's Alicia Walters. I am the applicant, as well I have my, the landowner, Peggy Walters, as well as my business associate, Tenorance Moore. And we're here, like I said, to establish a permanent housing for veterans with 24-hour support care.
Okay, is this presently a residence?
It's presently, it is not a residence at this time. It's just an empty home at this time.
I mean, but it was a residence.
It was a residence, yes.
It's just not one now.
Correct.
Okay, do any members of the committee have questions? I was wondering, do you have questions?
Yeah, I was curious about the requirement for a variance for the parking situation. Can you tell me more about that? Where's the parking currently located?
Yes, sir. They currently have parking, but the driveway is located in a front yard. They actually sit on a corner lot. So the driveway is in a front yard and would require a variance for a new use. So the change to D4 for the communal living facility would trigger all aspects of the property to come into full compliance with the zoning ordinance.
I'm looking at the satellite view, so the structure faces Avenue W, is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, and then, you know, there's a drive, but I guess there's a parking pad that includes parking space that's inside the 18 feet from the front of the structure, and that's considered the front yard, is that correct?
Yeah, the front yard parking is what extends, if you look on, like a Google Street View image, when you turn into the gates, the parking pad is larger than what our percentage allows in a front yard. And then also if you turn left towards the front of the house where the trees are located, that would be considered parking in a front yard also.
Got it, okay.
And the applicant, when they apply for the special exception for the communal living facility, they can just put all of those requests together for one case.
Anything else?
That's all I got for right now.
Okay, so you're going to have 8 veterans
Correct,
and
up to 8, correct.
4 employees.
It's 2-to-1 ratio, so it can be up to 8 bedroom unless one of the bedrooms they want it as private, then it'll be less, so. It's 2 bedrooms in the room, but if they do request a private room, then it goes down. But the ultimate ratio would be 2-to-1. Staffing,
Okay, so how many bedrooms are in this house?
4,
Okay, so you have 4 bedrooms.
correct.
And you're planning on having 2 veterans per bedroom, and then you have 2 employees.
2-to-1 ratio.
One employee per 2 occupants.
Residents, correct.
Okay, so you need a lot of parking. So the veterans don't drive cars, do they?
I don't know if they do, but if they, yeah. If we don't have them yet, the odds are no, they probably wouldn't, but if they do, we would have that options to have that parking available.
Okay, so how many parking spaces did you end up with all this concrete that shows on here? I don't see
it four?
is there a plat?
6 total.
Is there a plat map of this that I'm not seeing?
We didn't have a survey, no ma'am.
We do have a survey.
Do y'all have it with you?
We were here on August 14th. Let's see. Let me see.
And normally we have a plat that we can
Wait,
look at.
Is this it?
Is it okay?
Sure, no problem. That's the survey when we combined the lands together as into one. Because we were here on August the 14th.
Okay.
They have to combine the lots together, so that's what the line down it's showing.
Okay, so this is all the parking.
So there's plenty of space.
And how many spaces are there?
According to our staff report, there's 5 official spaces. There's obviously probably room for more, but there's 5 legal parking spaces that meet the 9 by 18 requirement.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
I saw in here that you have an excess of parking by 3 spaces, is that correct? Have you decided on which low-impact development technique you are going to use?
Once you give us the information, we will, have that taken care of, but we didn't, just give us what we need to do to fix it, and then we'll, fix it. But not at this time. The answer is not at this time.
I would add, Counselor Smitherman, when our ZAC planner met with the applicant, they indicated that they would look at the additional landscaping option.
Okay.
Because that would be the easiest due to the large size of the
Yeah.
lot.
Okay, gotcha.
So the land grew tremendous. Once we bought the property, then we combined them, so the land is much bigger. So we have plenty of space to do additional parking and anything that is required.
Okay,
to
perfect.
come.
How many communal living spaces are in that area, in particular on that street?
There's none,
There's none?
no.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 1,000-foot spacing
Right.
requirement.
There are
so-
none within 1,000 feet.
Perfect, okay. All right, thank you.
No problem.
Is there on-street parking surrounding this? I mean,
Yes,
when you're having these veterans come, but you don't know whether they have cars or not, everybody has to put their car somewhere.
there's parking along the
So-
side of this, there's plenty of parking along the side of the street, yes.
Okay, that wouldn't be taking up the residents' parking?
No,
other
not at all.
residents?
No.
Okay.
Question.
Yes, sir.
So, this is actually 2 parcels, is that correct?
3.
It's-
It's multiple parcels that were resurveyed into
4.
one lot.
Yeah, 4 parcels combined into one lot, so we have plenty of space.
Actually, looks
Yeah.
like 4.
It's 4.
Right,
While this case was in process, Counselor O'Quinn, they did go to subdivision for approval to combine the parcels into one lot.
okay, so the new address is 1,000 Avenue W?
Correct,
Okay,
yeah.
And what is across Avenue W on this magenta part of the map?
yes, it's a fastener facility, manufacturing,
It's a heavy industrial facility.
Birmingham Fastener.
Oh, well, yeah, that's why those cars are parked over there. Okay. Okay, are there any other questions?
Just one more. Is there like a common room area for the veterans?
Yes, there's a common room in the front of the home, and then we have a brand new barbecue space in the back, as well as a lounge area with a TV outside. It's beautiful. Yeah.
And is this just solely for housing, or will you have any like wraparound services or?
It's housing, permanent housing.
Okay.
Yeah.
If possible, with your tenants, if you could just give them those type of resources as well. I think I was on the NLC trip, and they were actually talking about homeless veterans. And they gave them homeless shelters, but they also had wraparound services in the central housing for them, like dental, mental health. But I'm really happy to hear you doing something for veterans, because we
Yeah.
don't have enough.
Yes.
Thank
Thank you.
The only other question I have is where do you get your veterans?
Once we finish this step, then we have to go, what's the name of the site? Veterans Administration. And then we apply there, and that's where we get them, the Veterans Office.
So the VA
The VA.
suggests that these people would be good tenants for your location and they come visit and see how they
Yes,
like it?
yes, that's where we get, yes.
Sign on the dotted line
Yeah.
or whatever they do? And the other question is, now you have a whole lot of property. What do you plan to do with the rest of the property that isn't occupied by this facility?
Well, once we're up and running, I'm hoping to add more space for that veterans homes, like more buildings in that area.
Oh, so you'll have a whole complex?
Yeah.
In the end?
But that's far, yeah,
Okay,
that's
and
in the
right now,
future.
this is the only building,
This is the only building,
and the
correct.
other lots are
It's empty.
vacant, but they used to have houses on them. They used to have houses.
They used to, yeah.
Okay.
This area is very, generations. We've had this land for 3 generations, so and we still live in the community as well. I still have a home in that community,
Well, that's good. You won't have to go too far to get to work.
not far at all.
Any other questions?
No.
Just so I understand, the plan is to have an employee on site,
Yeah, not live-in, but 24-hour
right?
workers.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
They come and they go.
Got it.
Do I hear a motion? One other thing. I saw that one of the things that would be allowed in this zone district was a public building. And it's item 3 on, well, I don't think we have page numbers ever, but it's number 3 on some page here, and it says that one of the allowed uses is a public building. So I would like to strike public building so we don't end up with another drug rehab
Okay.
in a neighborhood.
It says on page 3.
Well, it's number 3 on,
7, right before the maps.
it'd
At
be
the
great if we
bottom.
could get us some page numbers.
Yes, ma'am, we will do that for next time.
Yeah, if we could just strike public building, those are dangerous. Now, do we have a motion?
Yeah, well, I was looking over the list of allowed uses in D4 and just wondering if we might be able to strike some things that really aren't appropriate for, what is otherwise a single-family residential neighborhood.
What would you want to strike? A country club, golf
Well,
and swim?
I'm looking at the next list down, the permitted as an accessory to another principal use. So that includes a long list, including temporary storage, columbarium, mausoleum, you know.
The list in your packet, Counselor O'Quinn, it's backwards. It's, instead of what's not allowed, it's what is allowed. So the only uses right now that would be allowed would be a single-family home, a conservation subdivision, accessory structure, a park, country club, golf, swim, or communal living facility. So all those other uses have been removed.
So the list here under D4 that says permitted as accessory to another principal use,
Those would not be allowed because they are not listed in the queue conditions. An accessory structure would be the only one from that list that would be allowed.
It's that same page 7. Up on, it says the zoning advisory committee met at its regular meeting. It says with the following queue conditions at the end of that paragraph.
gotcha, okay.
And my only problem with it was removing that public building because we know that it's not what we think it is.
Okay. Madam Chair, I make a motion that we recommend this to the full council for approval.
Second.
With that one change.
Yes,
one
with the change noted in the permitted uses.
Okay. We have had a motion and a second. Is there any further? Oh, I forgot to ask if there's anybody in the audience who wants to speak regarding this issue. Is there anyone? No? Okay. Then we're ready to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
So that passes and we'll go to the full council. And,
All right, thank you so much. All right.
thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Okay, now we are to our next case, which is ZAC 2024-00006, zoning text amendment for short-term rentals. Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So this case, ZAC 2024-6, includes a text amendment from the zoning ordinance, as well as an addition to the city code regarding short-term rentals. This item has been before the zoning advisory committee twice, once in July where it was continued, and then last week on September 17th, the zoning advisory committee voted to send it with a no recommendation. So we are before you today with the second draft that was reviewed last week at the zoning advisory committee. And the notable changes from the first draft to the second draft, there are some additional requirements for the short-term rental property owners in the city code portion, but the biggest change impacts the zoning requirements, where short-term rentals went from the first draft being a permitted with conditions use to this draft being permitted by special exception in our zoning districts that are single-family and also our two-family and quadplex districts.
Okay. Well, we had a lot of questions that were asked by the ZAC members and a lot of questions that were asked by the city council members at the committee of the whole. Do y'all have responses for those questions?
We never received anything in writing. We tried to answer those questions at ZAC and committee of the whole. As I know at ZAC, we answered them at the end. The chair actually wrote them down. In the committee of the whole, we tried to respond to them. We didn't receive any additional questions after the meeting. But if there are questions that have been written down by counselors, we would be happy to address them. We just didn't receive anything in addition to what we discussed last week.
Well, now, we can't move forward if we don't have answers to our questions. But I guess what we have to do is go back to everyone that asked questions and ask them to write them down so that we can submit them to y'all.
Were there a specific set of questions we did not answer last week?
Yes.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, a whole lot of them. I mean, give me the definition of a bedroom. What is it?
So we do not define a bedroom in the zoning ordinance. That's defined in the building code.
Okay, do you know the definition?
I can find it, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, because we have these people saying they have 16 beds, and where are they? Out in the hall, in the basement? Because the bedroom definition I've heard is that a bedroom not only has to have a bed, it has to have a closet. And I don't know the definition of a closet. You'd think you would know that, but you know, just because I assume I know what a closet is doesn't mean the legal. So, but there were lots of questions from the council and from the ZAC, and I hope they didn't throw their notes away.
Yeah, so the ZAC questions, I think, I know one of the questions that I thought we addressed was whether or not we had, and I think this was one of the questions also that the council asked, was the commercial versus residential use of the property. And so our response to that, we are defining a short-term rental as a residential use. And the reason for that is because of the activities that are occurring inside the short-term rental. They're the same activities that would occur inside of a residential home. And if there are parties or events that are occurring inside a short-term rental, then those would no longer be considered a residential use. It would be considered an event center. And then I think we did mention that there has been some case law recently that has come out of the Alabama Supreme Court that has made their decision on whether or not a short-term rental was a commercial or residential use based off what I just described. The activities that occur inside are the same as those that would occur inside a single-family home or inside of a dwelling in an apartment complex. Eating, sleeping, watching TV, those uses are defined as residential uses. The transaction to rent the property is treated differently than the activities that occur on the property.
Okay, well, those aren't the activities that are occurring on the property, so I think that's one of the problems that the city council has, but I'm looking to my colleagues, I'm thinking that we need to go back and get all of the ZAC questions and get all of the council members' questions and then get all of the answers, because the Office of the City Attorney did volunteer to help us write an ordinance that will fit with what our residents desire as well as what the law desires. So I'm thinking that's what we should do, because we really can't move ahead without answers. Because if we have to make up our own answers, then, well,
Yes,
that
ma'am.
would be difficult.
We're happy to do that.
Okay, well, I move at this time that we delay this until we can collect our questions and collect our answers from the ZAC members and the city council members.
Second.
So Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So we will gather those. Now, can you gather them from the ZAC members, or should we try to gather them from the ZAC members?
We'll be happy to communicate that message to them. We didn't receive any additional questions from them, but we
Well, I
will.
know, but they had piles of questions because I attended the meeting and.
Yes, ma'am.
The two ladies, the chairman and Dr. Black had a ton of questions.
We'll send them a
And
message.
The gentleman, I don't recall them having questions, but they might have had some too, so,
We'll be happy to.
good. Okay, well, we'll deal with ourselves and our colleagues.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, I've had an opportunity to review the minutes from the August 14th meeting, and I would like to make a motion that we approve those minutes.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and properly seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so that, the minutes are passed. So we are to, well, we don't have any old and new business, so we're to item 5.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So we are adjourned.